Welcome back, everybody. James Phifer with ACCU, and today we have a remake of a video done in years past, and that is 5 things you need to know as a board member leading into 2027. So if you're serving on a board today, the game has changed not incrementally, but significantly. AI is certainly changing the landscape on how we as a community management company are performing our job and how you as a board may be experiencing that or even getting more exposure to liability. So let me explain a little bit about why. AI tools are here and they're great in a certain instance. We love it when homeowners take it upon themselves to do research. What does my CCNR say about something specifically? That helps reduce phone calls. It perhaps helps a customer experience the depth behind why without hearing it from the management company or from the board of directors. But on the flip side of that, we have some negative abuses that are happening as a cause of AI. So we have instances where homeowners are using AI to research how to exploit our time, create liability, just inundate us with information requests. And this is something that isn't good for boards, it isn't good for homeowners, and it's certainly not good for the management company, because most of the time that a management company had dedicated to support the community is now being burned up by answering these massive requests from what it seems to be either one owner or an owner campaigning a certain number of owners in a community to do the same thing. And so why does that matter? As we lean into 2027, we understand that a lot of these AI tools are charging for what is called credits. The more credits that are used, the higher the expenses are going to be for communities. And so we really want to caution boards to perhaps take a look at coming up with some type of policy for the association on the use of AI, and to make sure that it is being used appropriately when interfacing with the management company so you don't see your cost begin to skyrocket. That's something that each board can be very productive about leading into 2027 and beyond, is to make sure that you have an appropriate policy in place. Again, make sure that you reach out to your association's attorney to get that done. All right, so number 3 is reserve funds. It's a fiduciary duty, not a suggestion. This is extremely important for all communities nationwide right now. There's an understanding that too many communities are underfunded on their reserves. And so when it comes time for a community to update the roof or fix the road, paint the buildings, the money just simply isn't there. Now, after Surfside, and we all know that that has been beaten to death, so we're not going to talk about it in this video. But what we do know is legislators across the country are trying to figure out ways that they can enforce the amount of reserve funds that go into each community. And it really should be up to the board of every association to make the right decision when it comes to reserve funding. So take a moment, pause this video, go to your association documents and look at the last time your reserve study has been updated. If it's older than 3 years, you already need to get a reserve study done. The cost of a roof maybe 3 years ago would have been $80,000. Today, more than likely, you're exceeding $120,000 to $140,000 for the same roof. That reserve study from 3 years ago is no longer relevant. This is very important for community boards to understand. The other thing that I would like to talk about when it comes to reserve studies is just because you budget it doesn't mean that it's being saved. So let's talk about it in the sense of, if you're a homeowner and you're making $1,000 a month from your job and you take 10% of that, then you put it away every single month into your savings account, but one month you have a doctor's appointment and you get a bill from the doctor, you're going to pay your doctor before you put money away in your savings account. That is the way that associations operate. You have to pay your expenses before you save money, and that will ride on your balance sheet as a due to, due from. Another way to think about it is reserves not funded. So if that money isn't funded, where does the money come from? You have a couple of options. Number 1, the community raises the assessments to make sure that they pay that money back. You can get it back through special assessment, or the board can decide to write it off at the end of the year, which we do not recommend. That is what's happening to the majority of communities year over year. They don't like to see that amount riding on their balance sheet, showing that there's a negative in the community, so they write it off. And that means that future boards will not have the money to make the repairs when it's necessary. So community managers, board members, if you need to borrow from the reserve account to make your operating expenses, I highly recommend that you sign a promissory note, so that promissory note goes on to future boards when they're serving, so they understand that at some point in time they have to repay the delinquency in the association to that reserve. Very, very important. Hot topic for the entire community association world, it's insurance. We know insurance has gone up dramatically. We've had Surfside collapse, we've had fires, hurricanes, tornadoes, natural disasters. All of these situations have pushed many communities into secondary insurance markets, and it is causing a huge increase in insurance. So there is this spiral that continues to happen in community associations. The increase in insurance means that you're taking from your operating to meet that increase, and then there's not enough to address the deferred maintenance in the association. Then the deferred maintenance means that the next year, the insurance is going to become even higher. So what can be done? The response is something that most communities and boards are not going to like. You're going to see this on another podcast that we've done here at ACCU, which is the requirement to raise the assessments to meet the operating standards of the association to fund insurance and fund the deferred maintenance. Number 5, it's legislation is rewriting the rules in community management, and boards need to keep up. Right here in Colorado, legislation is heavily favoring the homeowner. Now, that's not a bad thing, but it's really important that we keep up with what's going on. Today in Colorado, we can't fine a community member for a violation for over $500. We also know that delinquent owners in a community are being subsidized by the good paying owners and associations. These are really important things to understand, because as you're building your budgets, you're going to need to know that legal fees are going to go up, because the association is ultimately going to be responsible for paying a higher amount for the lawyers or the collection agency to go after those delinquent owners. You cannot enforce a rule that violates state law, even if it's written in your CC&Rs. So it's really important to know how legislation has changed, because it could conflict with your CC&R. So what does that mean? Talk to your association's attorney, do a full review, and if it's time to update the covenants in your community, make sure that that's something that you do. So that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Again, my name is James Phifer with ACCU. I'm a resource to you at any time. If you ever have any questions, you can reach out to me. My phone number is 303-733-1121. And until next time, I look forward to bringing you additional educational content. See you then. Take care.